Hello, everybody. Welcome to the door hanger paint party. This is officially my first virtual Zoom event. I've done other virtual events, but not through a Zoom, so this is pretty cool. I'm not new to Zoom, but anyways, you've got a great setup, and I love that I can see everybody. I am going to just kind of step you through painting this. I'm going to turn it to my overhead camera. I'll keep my eye on the screen here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shout out or wave or whatever you need to do to get my attention. Because I'm not there, I won't be able to walk around and see how far you're coming along. If you get behind or need more time, let me know. I'll try and slow it down. I'm a pretty fast painter, and especially because I can't see you, I might go a little bit faster. So I'll try and keep it slow, but just let me know if I'm going too fast. Also, though, if you do get behind from the rest of the group, know that this is going to be recorded. You've got the instructions here as well. So if you need to finish up at another time, you can, but I think we should be good. First thing I just want to say is there are no rules. So I am going to paint, I'm actually going to paint a Scotty sign. Just because I have to paint a couple of those. It's the same format, it's got the same lines, it's the same shape, and all the same colors, except instead of maroon, I'll be using red. So all of the steps will be the same, but there are no rules. So feel free to paint your door hanger however you want. If you want to switch out colors or do a different pattern or whatever, absolutely do that. Do whatever inspires you. So in your kit, you've got 3 white paints. I'm actually going to just take me right over to the overhead now so I can show you what I've got here. Okay. And everyone see that okay? Okay. So in your kit, you've got the 3 tubs of white paint. Since we're going to be painting the base white, and wood is really porous, so that takes quite a lot to just kind of get a few coats down there. You've got a black, you've got a silver that you can use to accent afterwards, however you want, and then you've also got the maroon. You've got your instruction sheet that just talks about everything you've got and then steps you through what we're going to talk about tonight. You've got a little baggie of all the ribbon that you're going to need. And you have a little sponge brush that really helps with polka dots if you want to do polka dots. A black brush for putting our base coat down, and then a couple different size brushes, a flat and a liner brush. You want to make sure that you have your water cup for rinsing and some sort of rag for cleaning out your brushes. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, and then you have the little white tray, and that's what you can use to dump your paint out, and it's kind of a little bit easier, especially with the white, to use the tray. The other colors we can just use right from the little pots, but the white's a little bit easier. So let me grab a tray. I forgot to grab my tray. Just a second. Okay. So what we're going to do, this first step is, with wood, it's super porous and it likes to soak up a lot of paint right away. So we're going to put a watered down white coat down, watered down base white coat, and we're going to water it down so that we can get a lot of paint down fast and get that dried, and then the next coats go on a lot easier. You also should have in your kit a little sanding block, which we'll get to after we get our first coat down. So what I want you to do is take one of your pots of paint, white, And I'm just going to use the back of my brush here, and I'm going to dump about half of it out onto your tray. And then we're going to take our black sponge brush, and with your clean water, we're going to fill that black sponge brush with water. So just dip it in there. It's going to soak up all that water. And then we're going to come and kind of just water this down. We're going to move our brush around in that paint. And that's going to really get it. It's kind of like whitewashing almost. It's going to be really transparent when we put this first coat on. But this is our primer coat, which is really important when you're dealing with wood. Otherwise, it's really hard to paint. So I've got this soppy white paint, and that's what yours should look like. And it's almost dripping off my brush here. I'll put that to the side. And then we're gonna just quickly come out and start painting our sign. Now your signs all are have the score marks on there, so that allows us to just kind of paint right over those marks, and they're still going to be visible after all of the coats of paint that we do. They're pretty deep. They don't look very deep, but they are. And so go right over those score marks and just cover your entire surface. And it's going to look really splotchy and patchy probably. You're probably going to see some of that wood grain come through. But this is our primer, our base coat. We really don't care what it looks like. We're really just sealing that wood so the future coats go on a lot easier. And if you have to get more paint out, go ahead. If you need to water it down, you should be able to get a good brush stroke in. If you don't, you might need to water it down even more. If your brush starts to catch and you're only able to get a small brush stroke in, it just means it's a little bit too thick still. So should still be able to see the wood grain peeking through there. And we're going to do the entire sign. We're going to come down to the banner as well and do that. So I'm going to get just a little bit more paint and a little more water. The other thing I want to mention is don't worry about painting the edges. The edges have a really dark, nice dark brown edge from the laser. And if we just leave it like that, it really helps the sign pop off. It's really hard to paint the edges, and it can get really time consuming and take a lot of paint. So I typically just leave my edges really black. And so as you're painting too, with these next couple coats, think about starting your brush inside the piece and then brushing out towards the edge. That way you don't get paint on the edge. But if you do get paint on the edge, it's really easy to just take your finger and wipe it away. If it ends up drying after a little bit, or you don't notice it right away and you've got maybe an area that's got this white glob of paint on it, and it's still not wiping away or you can't get it, we can use the sanding block to sand that away. And then if it still doesn't work, we can just come in with a little bit of black and touch up those edges too. It should dry pretty fast, but if not, just give it a few minutes. I should have mentioned having a couple blow dryers on hand is helpful, but it'll be all right.
I was wondering why Lawrence was running out of the house with 20 packages of hot dogs. I just thought he was going over to Jason's.
Okay, so your sign might just be a little bit damp. We're gonna put our second coat on and then we'll let it fully dry and then we'll work on our ribbon while that dries, or our bow. So for the second coat, we want to do something similar but not as much water. So I'm going to dump some white out again. So we want more white this time, less water. So maybe just dump it or dip your brush in about halfway to get that much, just half a brush full of water. And then just mix it around. And then for this coat, we really don't need to worry too much about the inside of the letters. We're going to concentrate on the outside of the letters and the banner here because we're painting the inside of the letters the maroon. We just want to hit the edges here. And again, whoops.
Huh? No, I meant that.
Did you lose me?
Yep, we lost you. I think you're back up. Here's a questionable. I still got another decade. Yeah, we have more coming up. Thank you. Might have to lower it down a little more. The lighter, yeah. Oh no, the edge of the banner.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
She's just waiting for it to dry. Hello. Watch it.
Okay, so this is gonna probably take a few minutes. We can, if you have room, put these aside for a little bit and then work on our bow. So I'm gonna
Oh, yeah, move this up there. Okay, yeah.
have room to do that.
Well, I. Oh. This part almost ducked. I'm from East Side. You're doing that around me. I don't know what happens on East Side too. Alicia was down there. Get on the ground.
Okay, so the jute that comes with your kit is gonna be used to hang your door hanger, so that we don't need that for the bow right now. You can just put that aside. You should have a little piece of wire, green wire in there in your kit.
It's green.
Right, and then the tool is gonna be our base. So I'm gonna put that off to the side just for a second. And for the ribbon, we're gonna start by cutting it in half. So we're gonna take each piece and just fold it in half and give it a snip.
For all of them? Yeah, all three.
For all of them, yep.
Yes. All three of them. We're just stacking.
Okay, and then we're gonna take it and fold our ribbon in half and create what's called a dovetail, which will give it a nice clean edge. So you're gonna take your ribbon, you're gonna fold it in half, and I've got my edge running here and my open on this side. What we wanna do is come from the fold and angle our cut out to the open edge. Can you see that okay? So this is my fold, that's my open, and we're gonna cut from the fold up out. So we'll go at an angle, and then we've got that dovetail. So we'll do the other side. And we wanna do all ribbons, all edges. So again, we're gonna fold it in half. From the fold, we're gonna come at an angle up, out to the open end. can get closer to my camera. Make sure it's not. There we go.
Yeah.
So the fold is on this edge right here. We're going to come at an angle. To the open end. Do I sound echoey to you guys?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Okay. I feel like I can hear myself a little bit as well.
Doing this to all of them?
Yep, roll your ribbon. Except for the skinny stuff, we'll just cut at an angle.
Okay.
So your fin.
Great. No, turn on the phone. All right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've got our ribbon cut, we can cut our tool. And we want our tool to be just a little bit longer than our ribbon. It's going to be our base, and we kind of want to see it fan out around our bow. So I'm just going to lay it on top here and give it about maybe a ½ inch longer than my longest piece. And these will start to shrink up too when we put it together. So we'll just cut as many as we can. And if you cut them a little long after we make the bow, we can always trim them out and clean it up. So you should get about 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces.
What? That's what you get. Oh no. 1 and 4.
3 to 4 pieces.
I have 3.
That's okay.
Fold it, fold it. It's 4. 4. Is that longer though? No, it's like this. Oh, what? What? Hold on.
Okay, we all ready? Okay, so
I feel like if I do 4, it's gonna be too short. Can I do 3 or do you have to do 4?
no, 3 will be okay.
Okay.
This won't be pushy.
Okay, so then we're gonna lay this down and we're gonna start creating an X. And the tool kind of gets a little bit wiry and kind of goes everywhere. But so I've got one part of my X this way, and then I'm going to take my other ribbon and come on the other side, crossing it. So I've got an X happening there. And then I'm going to take my next color, and you can vary these. You can switch them up however you want. Make them random if you want to. But then I'm going to do a silver. So now we're going the other way with it.
Get a white one.
And then the next silver.
Get a white ribbon.
Look on the floor.
Yeah, you get a white ribbon in my packet. Yeah.
And then I'm going to take the black and white and go
Get one.
the opposite way.
Get
Make
the
an
white
X with that.
Did you put all the tool on the bottom?
Yeah.
All the tools on the bottom. And then we'll grab the smallest piece and make an X with that. Okay, and then have your wire ready next to us. So then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the top here, and we're gonna start to pinch it and gather it. And just bring it in to a tight little knob. And it's gonna look terrible right now, but we're gonna fluff it here in just a minute. So once you've got it gathered in the middle of the X, it's gonna look something like this. We're gonna take the wire, and I'm gonna lay it on top of my X and bring it to the back, and just maybe wrap it a couple times to get a good secure hold on your bow. So now I've got 2 pieces of wire coming out the back, and we can then take it back here, and I'm gonna hold it between my my thumb and my finger, and then just twist my bow around that to get a good tight
Yeah.
secure wrap around that. And then we're gonna use these to attach to the door hanger. So don't cut your wires yet. Leave your wires on the back.
Ask person here.
Okay, so then the next task is to just fluff it to make it look good. It's gonna look kind of wonky right now, but we're just gonna tug on your tails and pull them apart.
fluff it.
And they've got wire in them, so you should be able to, that should help hold them in place however you want. So if you want some of that silver pulled through, you can tug that maybe to the middle and maybe have the plaid up at the top. And then the thin stuff up here doesn't have any rip or wire, and that's just kind of flaps around, which I like how that just is more of a natural, kind of blows in the wind.
Oh, that's pretty. Oh, it's up like a flower, not down like a boat, right? Up like a flower? Yeah. So folding it in but open? You in and open it?
Yeah, you open it, you just tug on your tails.
Each individual piece?
And then the tool, we can then tug and have it open up. And you can kind of see how my tool is a little bit long around here. We can trim that up if we want, but that just gives us a base underneath our bow. It's kind of hard to see in the video.
Oh, amazing myself over here. Everybody's getting a croissant. That's all I did too. I wrapped it and then I folded it like a flower.
Make it your own.
Ooh. What's it? Oh, yeah. Oh,
All right, so then I've got some tulip here that's a little bit long. I'm just gonna trim up here. And that's your messy bow.
it's super pretty. Where'd you throw it
I
away?
threw the garbage in here. I bet you put it. That.
Bring me in. Will you bring me one of those that like Albertsons made over there on the front? Pretty.
There it is.
Now you have to go back. See? Hey, you're supposed to bring me a bag.
There it is.
Remember, for senior night, we can be in charge of massages. You could do pins for the boys. You could do pins for the boys.
And I'm doing crustáceos.
I don't know. I'm all kinds of excited right now. All kinds of ideas going off in my head. Great, work fast.
I'm not worried about her. I can do thousands of crafts a day.
Everyone on Oh, super pretty. Oh, well, I think they all like it. You know? Didn't we all follow the same direction?
Obviously.
Mine is super short on this one side, but I'm cool with it. I don't know. I'm embracing it. I like it. I think it's super pretty. Probably just because it's both squares. Yeah. I like it. Fluff it on the thing. Fluff it on what my part is. That's the backside, Mom. No, because look at mine. And I just pinched it. All right, here we go. Oh, pushed in.
How are your guys' signs? Do they feel dry yet, or do they feel pretty wet?
Run, run.
Where you watching then?
Kansas City and Baltimore. I have the Kansas City kicker on my fantasy. No, my quarterback's from Seattle. Oh. No! No! No!
Okay, if your guys' signs are starting to dry, sometimes with wood projects, the fibers in the wood start to raise up, and what was once smooth looks really rough and feels really scratchy. And that's just those fibers, when they get wet, they start to expand and raise up. And so you have a little sanding block in your kit. And so if you start to feel any fibers or areas where the wood has raised up, go ahead and just knock those down. It's just a really light sanding motion. So we're just gonna lightly sand those down. So I have just a few areas like right here that were kind of rough. I've got one up here. And we don't want to sand it so hard that we take the paint off. We're really just a light sand to knock those bits down so it's smooth again. Do we still need more time for drying, or are we all ready to move on? Okay, well, let me know if you need me to pause. I'm gonna go on to the next step, which is painting in our letters with the maroon. And I'm gonna use the flat brush for this. And so we're just gonna, just like a coloring book, we're just gonna color in all of the letters here. And I'm gonna use red instead of maroon.
That's what I'm worried about.
We go all the way to the edge or stay in that front, right?
Just right up to those score marks, so we still have a layer of, or an edge of white. So you're gonna paint inside the score, the score marks.
Oh, nervous.
That's
Oh,
a sample.
and you do black, right? So that'll cover up any flaws.
Maroon. Sorry, what was the question?
I said, and there's a black outline to cover up any flaws.
Yes, yes.
I know she had glasses on when she got in here. Holy cow, she's fast.
And just to be fair, I just got done painting 10 at least, so I've had a lot of practice.
This is so stressful for me.
So just put on a nice light coat. Don't worry about getting it super dark right away. There might be areas where you need to come in with a second layer, but don't try and layer too much paint on at once. Just a nice light coat, and then we'll come in with a second coat when this dries and touch it up and make it nice and bright. Because even I have some areas where it's white and it kind of splotchy, and that just helps it dry faster if we stick with light coats. Just take your time.
Second guessing that wolf basket idea.
You don't? That's not
Run out of patience. No. No more patience.
So if you can, if your sign is dry and you have some areas that you want to touch up where you still see some of that white peeking through, you can do that now, or just wait a few minutes until it dries. You might not need to paint the entire thing. There might just be little pockets of areas that need touched up.
Yeah. Right? These wolf point, their face print's gonna be on the sign. You should have said no. They're gone. I don't know what happened to them.
No, you're from our neighborhood.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. on that page. Goes with the back. Yeah, there it is.
So the next step after getting your second coat on here is to use your liner brush, which is your smaller brush. And I just put a, where the score mark is, so it kind of looks like an outline. I'm gonna put my red here, you would do your maroon. And just right on the edge, right up to that score mark. Just to outline that back side of the banner. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. And then there's a part of the banner that's kind of in the shadow, and there's a line that goes across here on your banner. You can't see it on my screen, sorry. But it's like a little triangle right here, and I'm going to paint that in with red for that shadowed piece where the banner's almost folded in on itself. You get that little triangle there. So you can do that on both sides. And then after you've got all your maroon done, got your second coat down, and if you did the liner, you can then use your liner brush and start filling in the Wolf's Pride letters with black or whatever color you want. So same thing, we're just staying inside those score marks.
We all throw. I did.
No, now he's watching the video.
Why has a way better teacher? Tell you that right now. Nothing to do with the kid. Why has a way better teacher? K major. Yeah. And they're actually that higher math class is taking, their math class they're doing for a college credit. Our high school credit, they're doing algebra that eighth graders. So they're getting their first high school credit right now. Yeah. So that's what he said. Yeah. It's just gonna save them in the long run because a lot of well, no, a lot of them, like Hermione is in the fire right now, where she has to take pre-calc and calc. So she has pre-calc first period and calc second period.
Yeah.
But with these kids taking algebra now in eighth grade, it kind of saves them from that, and then they can possibly get to that by the end of high school.
Yeah, because then we can double up with advanced algebra and geometry. Really, even though they do that algebra was already in eighth grade, they can get still have
Well,
to do
Katie's really pushing the math department now, where before,
yeah, because
Connolly was in charge of the math department, so it was a totally different.
her freshman year, she was basically doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. So some of them can skip that now,
That's nice. I wish
um,
they had done that.
but like Katie's teaching 6 different classes, so she has to plan for 6 different classes. Because she's doing, social studies and, or not social studies, histories and math. Yeah. And then the calculus is a dual credit. But she's a really good teacher. She's pretty good. I like her. What else? Well, sometimes high school sisters just don't need help. I don't know.
I know. I'm trying to answer.
really?
How is everyone doing?
Oh, looks like they're still working on their lettering. Where done with their lettering? Oh, yeah. Oh. I got my W done. Yeah, me too. Look like molasses and all lettering.
Okay, so I'm gonna just show you how to use this little dauber, and you can put any sort of pattern that you want. I'll show you a couple different patterns and different ideas. The dauber can actually be used on both sides for a larger dot, and then using the wood end for a smaller dot. And so I'm just gonna use white for mine. You could do large white dots and then maybe small black dots, or do them both white. But you want to just make sure that you fill up your end, and you want to also make sure that there's not a bunch of paint on the end. So you don't want to have a big glob of paint on the end. So if that's the case, just wipe it off. Otherwise, the circle tends to just spread out too far if you've got too much paint. And then I'm just gonna, you can go off of the edge a little bit because it is white and my paint is white, so it looks like the polka dots are kind of off the edge of the letter. And I'm gonna press down and then just give it a little twist, and that helps fill in the circles. And so we're just gonna go and add some polka dots randomly around my S. Now, when I get to the H, I want to make sure not to put any polka dots here because I'm going to do something different there. If you want to, you can lay your piece of paper here to help guide you to make sure that you don't run over the edge with those polka dots. So we can kind of cover that up or create a line there, a border. So just a little press and a quick little twist will really help those polka dots get filled in. And then for the other side, this is more of a smaller dot. So we can just fill it up, tap the paint in on the wood side, and then just add. It's not as fast as the nice sponge side, but it does make some perfect little dots that are a little smaller. So you can combine those or do one letter with the larger dots and one letter with the smaller dots.
Steve, where was that? Kind of slow over here.
And then for stripes, I'm going to use that flat brush that you have. And you can sketch out your stripes if you want. I'm just going to freehand them in. And we're just going to go from one side to the other. And the easiest way that I know to make a stripe so we don't have to sketch them in, what helps me create a straight line is being able to just take my whole wrist over instead of little short wrist movements. So when you're making your stripes, make sure that your sign is kind of in this motion where you're drawing your line naturally with your hand. Instead of trying to do this where it's kind of broken up or you're kind of awkward or your hands, in an awkward position. So I'm gonna load up my brush so that I can go all the way across as well. Make sure that you have plenty of paint in your brush, and I'm just gonna bring in a line across there. And it might not be exactly straight, and I'm okay with that. It's at the end of the day when we look at the whole thing, a little bit of a crooked line doesn't stand out too much. And so the brush, if you just gently press it down, will create a nice straight line for you, or an even width line. So you want to try and keep the same pressure the whole way through. Don't go light and then get heavier with your hand, because your stripe will get wider. So try and keep an even pressure as you go across. And if it starts to look like it's a little light, you can always come back with a second coat and fill it in just a little bit if you want. So it's a little more bright white. And so you could go stripes horizontal, or you could go stripes up and down. And then if you have a ruler, let me see if I can find my ruler. You can use, if you like bigger, chunkier stripes, you could use the width of the ruler. So I typically will lay it down, sketch a line in, and then line up the ruler, and it's the width of the ruler for a nice chunky stripe. If you want to do bigger, bolder stripes, you can use a ruler to get that. And then you'll end up with maybe 3 or 4 stripes as opposed to a lot that I have here.
What is right? Diagonal.
So I was just going to show you a couple other ideas to use your flat brush for some different designs. If you angle your brush, you can make little V's. And those look really nice in a letter. They're just kind of a different type of design.
You better do a chevron.
Yeah. You can also just do the X, so just tap your brush because it's flat, and if you kind of tap it on your tray and make it as flat as it can be, it creates a line, and then if you go the other way, then you've got those little X's or plus signs that you can put on there. So that's another idea for a design. And then you can always, instead of stripes going horizontal or vertical, you can go at a diagonal. I think I did that with the example. I think I did diagonal on the W. And then you can, if you want really tiny polka dots, you can use the back of your brush. So the back of the sponge brush gave us like a medium size polka dot. If I use the back of my brush here, I can even get smaller ones. You can kind of mix and match those.
Oh, yeah. Something is great.
Then once you've got all your patterns in, then you can come in with a black line and with your liner brush, outline all of your letters following that score mark. And then you can also add just kind of some fun black lines around your banners, just to give it some definition. You can add white lines around your letters if you want, your Wolf's Pride down here. We can add some black in our dots. And when you're outlining your letters with your black, you want to make sure that your black is fairly watery. You don't want it too thick or tacky, otherwise it's really hard to create nice thin lines. So if your black has been sitting open for a little bit, dump some out on your tray and add just a couple drops of water to it to help loosen it up. And if you're nervous about outlining all your letters like this, you can also use a Sharpie.
Sharpie?
Yeah,
I do that, I do that. Oh,
that's a little tip you can do. A Sharpie is really handy. I know some just prefer to use that as opposed to brushing these outlines on, and they work just as well too.
No, there. Keep holding my breath, I'm all right.
I'm gonna want to put this in the dark.
We'll put mine at the back of the hole.
Where are you? Who said this was relaxing?
I know, I'm just tensing my neck over here. I'll see you tomorrow. The bowl was fun. Oh, it was restless. I loved it. Priming was great, yeah. She did it. What'd she do with the brain? Use it for fun.
Yeah.
Over.
And don't forget you have your silver. This silver is a bit of a, it's translucent, so it's really see-through, but once it dries really pretty and you kind of get this shimmer. So if you wanted to add that to some of, just like a brush stroke to some of your polka dots or your stripes, just adds a fun little shimmer here and there. And you could definitely just go polka dot, silver polka dots, but I do suggest starting with white and then coming over with that silver because it is really see-through. This just adds a fun little accent to your door hanger.
Oh, I thought there was background music. Relaxing. You guys got pantsuits that number? No. Oh, hi, baby. Keep it at your house, you said. We're gonna get duplicate space.
Hi, Shastin, grandson.
Tomorrow will be our.
So for hanging your guys' sign, you're going to use the jute, and I gave you quite a bit so that you could adjust it how you wanted to wherever you're going to hang it. And I would just go in from the front, and you might just have to twist it as you push it through the hole so it doesn't fray, because jute likes to do that. And if you're still having problems getting it through the hole, you can put a piece of tape on it so it's like a shoelace. And once you get it to the back, we're just going to tie a knot here on the back side. You might have to do 2 knots so it doesn't come through to the other side there. Then we're going to take the other end and do the same thing, go through the front to the back. And this is where you can kind of adjust it and pull more through if you want a shorter hanger, or if you want it longer, you can leave it the length that it is. And then for the bow, you can do it a couple different ways. You can have the bow be right at where your jute is going in, your hanger is. You can thread the wire through the hole and then put the other wire along the top and twist it in the back so it's sitting right on your hanger like this. You can go on the right or the left, whatever you want. Or you could go at the very top of your hanger and have it sit more along the top of your door hanger there. So however you want, you've got a couple different options there, wherever you want to put that.